Well, folks, you know you're in for a treat when you hear that tune because it's time for another week of the Rec Poker Podcast, episode 545, if you can imagine. This is the Chats edition. We also have a Forums edition every week, just talking strategy. I'm your host, Jim Reid, Bluffsterini in the home game and at RecPoker Jim on Twitter. And I have the best freaking job in the world talking poker with my friends here on the podcast every Monday night at 7:30 Eastern, live on YouTube. Join us every week for free and win a prize just for showing up. We're going to be talking to our guest, Louie Hillman, in just a moment, and he's actually brought a very special prize for our food bank raffle that's going to be happening later in the show, so make sure you do stick around for that. Before we talk to Louie, I have to thank our sponsors, the Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino. Most of what we do here is free. We're a largely volunteer-based organization, so we depend on support from our sponsors, and you can find out more about them at www.runaces.com. And in case you don't know, there's just an hour north of the Twin Cities in Minnesota and some of the best and fun poker you can have in the area. I get our premium members really help us out a lot. For 50 cents a day, they can come connect over Zoom with other fun, encouraging poker players, all trying to get better together. Or you can sign up for free because everything starts with a free account at rec.poker, where all you need to join is an email address and a smile. But you can get your first month of premium for only $1 in the month of December by using the code NICE at checkout as part of our Naughty or Nice sale. One premium member in particular I want to shout out is Michael Babker. A lot of you have probably heard Michael's name. I just want to point out, as his birthday approaches, what a crucial part of the Rec Poker family Michael's become, stepping into some big shoes as our technical director. And he's been so generous with his time and expertise. I can't thank him enough. If you see Michael Babker out there this week in particular, buy the man a birthday beer and say thanks from all of us here on the RECing Crew. Thank you, Michael, so much for your continued support. Now, they let me host the show on Mondays, but I'm only one man, and it takes a crew to make the magic happen around here. We call this group of wizards the RECing Crew, and if you want to learn more about me or the rest of the RECing Crew, you can go to rec.poker/crew, but you can also just listen up because you're going to meet a few of them right here on the air, starting with our own producing co-host, Chris Jones.
Well, I'm Chris Jones. You can find me 5B5 on Twitter or 5x5 in the PokerStars home game.
And my name is Joe Coolis. You can find me at JoeCoolPhD on Twitter or Elvita11 in the home game.
And I'm Rabman50,
Pretty
almost
much everywhere. That's our own Rob Washam. So I'm about to introduce Louie Hillman, but before I do, I just want to remind our YouTube audience, if you've got questions for Louie, type them into the YouTube chat there. We're also going to be looking for names of famous poker players so we can play Stake, Study, Stack with Louie a little later on in the show. So type some famous poker players in there. And of course, we'll be doing our raffle prize at the end to support a local food bank. And I hope you get involved with that. So stick around to the end of the show. But one thing you don't have to stick around anymore for is the one and only Louie Hillman. Guys, we got him. We got him on the Rec Poker Podcast. It only took 545 episodes. Louie, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Well, one question's been answered. How many episodes does it take to run out of qualified guests? 544.
I love to hear it. I love to hear it. Louie's a humble guy. Yeah, Joe?
We actually interviewed Jim Reid at some point a while back. So
yeah, that's right.
that was probably then.
We ran out of qualified guests quite a while ago, it sounds like. If you play poker in Minnesota, you might have heard the name Louie Hillman. He's no stranger to the Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino. He loves mixed games. He's had a lot of success on the felt over the years. But Louie, don't let me put you in a box. If our members don't know anything about you and they just met you for the first time today, how would you kind of describe your role within the poker world?
Well, I moved to Minnesota about 10 years ago and was a transplant from Wisconsin. And, you know, in my previous life, I was a television news anchor, news reporter. And I was working nights, holidays, and weekends. And at that time in my life, I really didn't have a lot of free time or opportunity to pursue poker. It's something that I played home games in high school and played in college and have consistently stayed with the game now for 20 years. got to take a big gulp to say that.
Yeah.
But that's the reality. But when I moved up here to Minnesota 10 years ago, making a big career change, it kind of came with it more of a regular lifestyle. I wasn't out chasing news stories or anchoring the weekend news, and it allowed me to kind of rekindle my passion for poker. And we've got two great card rooms here in the Twin Cities, so really kind of fell back in love with the game 10 years ago, and have just play as much as I can, which is less and less as the years go by, just because of I'm a dad with three little kids. I've got a 9-year-old, a
Yes.
7-year-old, and a 3-year-old. I just started my own business this year, so I do like to think of myself as a rec poker player. There's no aspirations to make it anything more than a serious hobby. Found rec poker in 2020 during the pandemic. Big, like longtime listener, first time guest. But I've been a big fan of what rec poker is all about. Chris and I know each other professionally now too. I've said, I wish I could give more time and energy and be involved with rec poker. Just at this stage of my life, it's not something I'm really able to do. But maybe in the future, when things settle down and I'm not, chasing around a bunch of rascals.
That sounds good, man. Well, we've definitely felt your impact, even through not being as active as you'd like to be. You're a fun follow on Twitter. You're an easy guy to root for when it comes to big games that you're playing in and big tournaments and that kind of thing. We've appreciated some fantastic forum posts by you, and I think we've even had a couple conversations about your hands on the air in the forums episode of our podcast. Let's talk a little bit about that. So you say you kind of came across Rec Poker as a podcast a few years ago. What is the role that Rec Poker has taken in your poker journey?
Sure. Yeah, I used to be very active on 2+2, which is kind of like the OG forum.
Sure.
And there were hand history threads in there, and just over the years, it became more and more of a toxic environment where there really wasn't a positive encouragement when people would bring hands. And there's two thought processes on hand history reviews. You have the people that want to bring hands basically to brag how good they played. And then you have the people that want to bring hands that they know they misplayed and are looking to not make that mistake again, right? I fall into the category too. If I'm bringing a hand, it's because I feel like it's one that I want to get some feedback on, right? So I was very active on 2+2 for many years, and then just over time, it just became more and more of a negative environment. And this was right around the pandemic, and then of course, most people didn't have anything to do. I got back into online poker really big in 2020 and 2021, and just happened to kind of come across Rec Poker. Was participating in the Discord channel before the website really launched. And then, when the website launched, started bringing some of the hand history discussions there. Unfortunately, I've just been so busy launching a business, I haven't been in there recently, but it's something that I really appreciated, that it felt like there was a much more positive environment to talk about hands and still get meaningful value in the discussion, right? Even though some of the people might have been coming from less experienced, perspectives, it was still, I'd rather have the positivity and have the positive environment than just, posting a hand and 10 people saying fold pre, no shit, Sherlock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
if I would folded pre, there's no hand history. So
right. Well, I love to hear that. I love to hear that, and to hear that we are making that kind of positive difference in people's lives. I know other people have shared that with us as well. Tell us a little bit about some of your poker exploits. I know you've had some great finishes down in Las Vegas. What are a couple of your kind of your top moments as a player over the last 10 years?
Yeah. I call it the deal with the devil. So we've got 3 kids. My wife and I jokingly, I said I'd agree to 3 if I could go to Vegas for a week every summer. And of course, number three, I've since nicknamed Hot and Spicy. She's keeping me on my toes, so it might have legitimately been a deal with the devil. But um, I have every year I've got about 7 or 8 days in Vegas to go chase the dream in the World Series of Poker. So I do not travel any time in the year besides going to Vegas. But when I go to Vegas, I plan a really big schedule. So this last year, I'd scheduled about $30,000 to $35,000 of buy-ins, playing two of the $10,000 championship events. So in the little bit of time I do get to play, I want to make it count. And I've had the opportunity to play eight $10,000 championship events at the World Series, and I've cashed in four of them. So 50%,
Amazing.
including two main event cashes. And then this year was the big one. Made my first final table, which was a huge goal of mine. And then, of course, it happened to be a stacked final table, so it made it on the Poker Go stream, which now I have, I have a record of that I can always go back and watch. And so, yeah, this year was, I've had a lot of special years at the World Series. This year was by far the most special. And then, I ended up following it up with a 10th place finish in my last event. That was a $1,500 buy-in, another mixed game tournament. So don't get to play very much, but try to make the times I play count.
Yeah, make it count. That seems like exactly what you're doing. I've got a bunch more questions about that, but Chris, you had something to start with.
Well,
here, I think.
I just want to jump in because you mentioned the fact that you made a final table. It was a stacked final table, but holy moly, that was a stacked final table. I mean, that had world champion Joe McKeon. It had former WSOP player of the year Josh Aryeh. It had everybody's favorite commentator and one of the top tournament players in the world, Nick Schulman. It had Nick Papillo, I believe. It had I forget even there. I'm probably missing some of the other like superstars that were at that table, but like I mean, walk me through like that experience. I mean, are you like? I mean, I know you're playing in these events and you're kind of like you're kind of relishing it, but then you show up at that table and you have those people there. How are you feeling in that moment? How are you dealing with being around sort of the luminaries of the poker world and knowing that you're playing for hundreds of thousands of dollars?
And don't forget the Minneapolis insurance heavyweight.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Which Norman Chad called me on ESPN back in 2019. During the main event coverage, like 10 times. Like you couldn't buy, like in my business, you couldn't buy a more perfect nickname.
Awesome.
I mean, it was incredible, Chris. I mean, I'm like you. I'm a fan of the game, right? We got down to 3 tables and it was hand for hand, and the bubble took 2 hours. So it was an excruciatingly long hand for hand. But at my table, I had, his name escapes me, but to my direct left was Joe McKeon. And then to his direct left was Karai Eldemir. And then it was Maury Eschiandi. And then it was Ben Yu. And then Nick Papillo and me. And, we'd play a hand, and then we didn't really have any of the extreme short stacks at this time. The other tables did. And I'm sitting there and just having very casual conversations with, 2 of the world champions, And if you know the World Series of Poker setup, the purple section back there, it's kind of tucked away where you're kind of like by yourself, and it's just, it's a cool experience. But at the same time, not for a minute do I not feel like I don't belong there. Like this is cool. I'm not pretending like it's not, but I feel like I belong. And then as we bagged it, I think 14 at the end of day 2. We came back for day 3, put us on the feature table, which is the first time I've got to go on the feature set, which is just an incredible experience. And then Chris was on the team. He had a financial incentive on this. So I'm sending text to the group as we went from 14 to 13 to 12, 11, 10. Then they got up the big text, final table. And it was it was an incredible experience. But the thing I can tell you, and one of my things, just like as a piece of advice, is I believe very much in setting visionary goals. And about 3 months before the World Series, I keep like a study journal. And at the front of it, I wrote, visionary goal, make my first World Series of Poker final table. And even though I had never been there before, in my mind, I had put myself in that position. So when the time came, over and over again, I had thought about being in that spot, that the moment wasn't too big for me. I could enjoy it, which I did, but it wasn't too big that I felt like I was overwhelmed, and couldn't play my game. So yeah, I'm happy to talk about it as much as you guys want, because it's such an incredible, fun memory.
Yeah, I'm sure. You're kind of living that life that a lot of recreational players dream of. I mean, not a lot of us can afford, frankly, to bring a $30,000 bankroll down to the tournament series in the summer. But if we could, I mean, that's exactly the kind of thing we'd be doing, circling a couple of these big events and throwing our hat into the ring. What made you feel like you were prepared, like strategically from a game point of view, to put yourself in that hot seat and to kind of give yourself a shot to realize this dream?
Having a big ego, believing very boldly in myself. But at the same time, like, I've put a lot of work into my game over the years that I felt like I had prepared myself for those moments, and of course, nothing is guaranteed, and like, if the goal is to make my first World Series of Poker final table and then to win my first bracelet, and I've strategically targeted mix events that have smaller fields, yes, that like maybe gives me a mathematically higher percentage than playing the main event, but I'm still have to then go compete against the best players in the world, and beat them.
Yeah. Joe, you've got something, I think.
Yeah, I guess my question is, it's not so much a matter of in terms of what were you preparing, and I mean, I understand that, but yeah, I've prepared for a lot of things in my life. Of course, visionary goals that I wrote down. I am not a Green Bay Packer linebacker, so that doesn't always work. But I guess the question I have is, imposter syndrome chases us like the Furies. If you work hard at something, doesn't it, for us, at least it's been my experience that it just chases you. You're just always wondering, do I belong in this group? And even once you get there, you're still wondering, do I belong? Do I have the skills? And you're wandering into a final table where people are throwing around, huge sums of money that they deal with all the time, and you're just kind of moving in. So how did you manage that imposter syndrome that you're going to come up with? Because I don't know, a bunch of GTO solves, if that's it, well, then I'm ready, just bring me on, because I've done that work too. And I still think I would be like, I'm not sure I should be here.
Well, it's a great question, because no matter what stakes you play, sometimes you only feel as good as your latest results, right? And that is something that we all battle through in this game we love, is, I mean, even myself, like, I had a dream summer, and then, the other series that I play every year is the Fall Poker Classic, and I had 3 bubbles, and I'm, comparatively, small buy-ins compared to what I was doing in the summer, but, the pain of the more recent sticks with you than the joys of the past, so it's tough. I mean, there's such a mental component to continuing to persevere through that. But I think that for me, it was, if I made a commitment to do a certain regiment to prepare, that I was ready for game time. And I made a commitment. I wrote it down in my journal, what I was going to do, and I accomplished all of it. And then it was time to go execute the plan. And you're right, because you know what? I did the same thing in 2022, playing a full schedule of mixed games, and I completely bricked. And it was painful. 7 days out in Vegas, coming back and losing over and over and over again, and having to like dig down every morning to say, okay, can I play my best today in this new game? Like so the failure of 2022 really set me up for the success of 2023. That makes sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Joe, do you have a follow-up?
It's not a follow-up. I have another question, but I can wait to put that.
No. Please. Yeah.
So you kind of mentioned that you're starting your own business, which it occurred to me that, businesses are based on confidence, right? And it can be, for some people, it can be great news that they get to see you on the final table and you get to advertise in that particular way. But for some people, it's gambling. It's, you're going to lose all my money, or you're not going to do a good job, or I'm not going to get my, you may have said what your business is, but all of those things kind of mix in. And it's been something that I've been very careful to cultivate in terms of my own professional role. How are you navigating those difficulties?
And what do you do for your profession?
I'm a clinical psychologist. I'm forced to say, Jim says I have to say a board certified clinical neuropsychologist.
That's right.
Yeah, and it's interesting. My business is retirement and insurance planning. So
yeah,
not investments like you think about them, but different types of planning strategies and retirement vehicles for. So it's people's money, right? So I'm keenly aware of that. The question, and I strategically did not do a lot of promotion about me being out there and being at the final table. A little bit on LinkedIn, but not like what I advertise to my personal followers, like on Twitter, on Facebook, is different than what I would advertise to my professional contacts. But that said, a lot of the people that I do business with are very aware that I am a serious recreational poker player. And I think the perception, the fact that it's like 1 week a year definitely is different than like, hey, this guy that we work with in finance is traveling every weekend or every other weekend. He always seems to be out gambling, I guess that's my answer, is I get away with it because it's 1 week. It's kind of like an insulated thing. But I could see what you're saying. If you are somebody out there that is playing more regularly, you're like a weekend warrior, that there may be some professional, risk, I guess is the best way. There's some professional risk of that being known about your hobbies.
Yeah, I mean, it's so for myself, I actually got legal advice before I came onto the RECing Crew to, paid for it to make sure that it would not interfere with the legal work that I do or clinical cases that I saw. And that was the biggest part, was the amount. The amount of money was the biggest concern, because you start getting into large sums and then people start saying, oh, degenerate gambler, right? And everything that calls with it. So I've limited, that my wife will not let me, drop 10 to a tournament at this point, but to make sure that it's always in the small stakes so that I can just justify it to say, and justify where that money is, right? Like keeping it separate from everything else so that nobody can ever say, well, I'm trying to draw from something to try to feed a gambling habit that I have. So look, we're in different businesses, so I don't want to, I was just interested in terms of what you had to do in order to make those lines clear.
I feel fortunate because, had it been 30 years ago, right before the boom, like there was not the same kind of widespread social acceptance of poker or even gambling in general, right? I really don't do a whole lot of gambling outside of poker. That's the main gambling activity I participate in. But you just watch a NFL football game and half the advertisements are for sports betting now, So I guess we can thank Doyle for that, because, he was kind of the brought poker in out of the back rooms into the boardrooms, I think that's what he says.
Yeah.
So yeah, 30 years ago, we would have been like, dead to our parents.
You're assuming I'm not dead to my parents, but my parents love me. But anyway, thanks. I appreciate the answer.
So let's talk a little bit about that. So it's 1 week out of the year. There's 51 other weeks in the year. I want to know, what are you doing come August 1st when it's time to plan your next summer's trip to Vegas? What are you doing to keep yourself up on poker strategy, to study, to prepare? What does the rest of the year look like for you as a player and as a student of the game?
Yeah, I mean, my answer now is a lot different than it was a couple years ago where I had more free time. There's not that much, to be honest. And just because, not that I don't care about working on my game, it's just there's not a big time commitment. But like I'm a fan of the game. I have a Poker Go account. I try to watch some of the episodes, and I always feel like I'm like come, let's just say January or February when the schedule comes out, and I know what events I'm going to play. I will be bookmarking those events if they were available in past broadcasts, because that's one of the ways that I learn. I find that watching the best players play, and then they usually are picking people to commentate them that are of that variety of poker. That is one way that I prepare. We've got a good group of, I call them our dad's group. There's five of my poker friends in Minnesota. Four of us have kids, but it's a really pretty accomplished group of players. Four of us are part-time. Four of us have real jobs. But I think one time we added it up and we had, over $2 million of combined earnings as a group of, part-timers. So, our group thread is always firing up when somebody's got a hand they want to talk about, and we kind of debate it and text about it. So, those kind of things. I got another buddy. I call him my Henson Mobbit brother. Him and I are always doing the same thing, and, Chris and Taylor, we have a group thread that, maybe not as active as often, but I have always found talking hands with people that I respect their work and dedication to the game is one of the best ways to learn. I have spent 0 minutes on solvers. Not that I don't think that they're legitimate. Number one, I just don't have enough time to dedicate to it, but it's not how I've learned the game. I guess I'm a little bit more of an old school field type player where, yes, there is a mathematical basis to it. There has to be, but a lot of it is trial and error, lots of error, more error, reps at the table, talking hands with people. So that,
yeah.
I guess that answers the question a little bit.
No, it does. And I think, talking to friends about poker remains the best way to get better at poker. That's why I encourage our listeners, join a free group like RecPoker. There's other groups out there, but I hear all the time, I've got great friends and I love poker, but my friends don't love poker. And I think that really lowers the ceiling on how much better you can get just watching podcasts and training videos and reading books and doing it all on your own. Being able to talk about poker with other people feels like the most important thing you can do to get your game to the next level. So I do appreciate that. And I think if you have limited time, that's one of the best ways to spend your time. Opportunity cost is a big factor for people with families and careers and hobbies like this. So use your time wisely, get the most out of the time that you have, whether you're playing or studying. I think that's really important. How do these kind of experiences, when you go down to, one of the two excellent card rooms in Minnesota, how does this change the way that you approach a daily at Running Aces, or even an MSPT or something like that, or like you say, the Fall Classic? Do you still get the same butterflies going into those? Has this kind of jaded you a little bit as to the smaller buy-ins? What is anything different about it since you've had this recent success? Well,
No matter how small the buy-in, a day two never gets old. That's the number one thing. If you make a day two, I don't care if it's a $300 or a $10,000. When you wake up and you're playing on a day two, it just feels special. So that has not changed with the buy-in. I mean, as I've been fortunate enough to really grow a nice bankroll from all of my playing over the last 6, 7, 8 years. Yeah, I mean, I don't, I guess in some ways it can be an advantage to me when I'm playing smaller buy-ins, knowing that I'm not there on one bullet. I remember the days when I was just building my bankroll, right? I mean, in my past life, I was a broke television reporter. I mean, it's embarrassing to even tell you how much money I made when I was doing that. And people think, oh, you're on TV, you got to, it's like, it's part of the reason I was playing poker back then was because it could literally supplement my income, and I remember there was a stretch I had back in maybe 2010 or 2011. When was Black Friday? Was that 2011 or 2010?
11, April
Yeah.
11.
It was
Yeah.
like within a year of Black Friday where I had a couple good months on Ultimate back in the day. It's like, I just earned half of my year's salary in, 3 or 4 tournaments. So moving up here and making your career change and getting married and starting a family, like in the early days of like really getting back into poker, there was no bankroll. It was like you could scrounge together a little bit of money to go play in an event, and like, yeah, you were holding on to that one buy-in, and it for sure it impacts your play, right? Because it's scared money, which
Mhm.
you don't want to go broke. It's your one buy-in. This is your night out. This is your shot. Where now I have the opportunity, to play more aggressively and not fear losing the buy-in because I've got ample ones behind it. So, I mean, in that way, I guess that's how it's changed. But I get to play so infrequently that it really doesn't matter the buy-in. I was thought that like a topic like this might come up. This year I only played in 14 unique tournaments. So like
Hmm.
that's not that, like, that's barely anything for most people in poker, you know what I'm saying? Of course I had rebuys, but like only 14 unique tournaments, and um cashed 8 in the money, 28%. So like
Pretty good.
I'm very proud of that.
Yeah. It's it's such an interesting story. So you're married, you've got 3 kids. There's a balance here between working and family life and enjoying this hobby. And I'll just queue up our YouTube viewers. We're getting close to the end of the interview here. So if you have any questions for Louie, make sure to enter them into the YouTube chat there, and then we'll get on to our raffle and some other fun stuff later in the show. Your wife sounds very supportive. There must be a little bit of like subtextual friction or something when it's like, honey, I'm taking $30,000. I'm going down to Las Vegas, and like, how do you segregate your bankroll from your life finances? And how have you created this wonderful relationship and sort of symbiosis with the other stakeholders in your life?
Yeah, it is absolutely not without friction. The friction is nothing to do with the money, though, right? We're both transplants here. We both have lost a parent, so we both have single parents living in a different state. So we don't have somebody to be here really helping when I leave, right? So that is the thing, is just knowing that you're leaving, putting the stress of a whole family on one person's shoulder for a week. Well, you get to go play a game,
Right.
Like, let's just call it what it is, and I'm so thankful for that. So that's something that at this time in our life is probably the hardest it will ever be. It only gets easier as the kids get older and become more independent. As it relates to the money piece of it, when we got married, somebody gave us the advice, and they said, if you combine all your money, but set up side accounts. And at the time, we didn't have that much money when we combined our accounts, and we set up we called them our fun funds, where whatever the dollar amount was, I want to say it's like maybe $1,500 or $2,000 each, we put in our side accounts. And then every month we'd get a little bit going into it. And then as my income went up, we started kind of adjusted it based on my income. But that is one of the biggest things I can recommend as a young couple, because how many fights were avoided because I was spending my money on poker and she was
Mhm.
spending her money buying clothes that I didn't think she needed, you know?
Right.
And as you know, over the years, like she has no idea it's my money not impacting our family, right? So it was really easy because we made the conscious decision to set aside money for ourselves that we could do whatever we want with it. Hers kept going down, down, go up, go down, down, down. Mine went mostly up, and it really went up in the last couple years. So
That's a good
that was
that helps, right? I mean, that helps because you're removing the kind of communal element to it. I mean, I'd say whoever gave you that advice, that was great advice. My wife and I, we actually do something similar where we have like our household expenses and we have like our work related expenses that we deal with, and we know what that's going to cost every month. We've got a savings plan, and then we each have our own like fun money, and whatever we spend it on, we know that we've met our family responsibilities already. And whether we save it for something big or spend it on little things throughout the month or year, not having to like account for that and being fully enfranchised, each of us, to do something with that money really does. I think it sets us up for success really well. It sounds like a similar setup to what you've got going there, which seems like really good advice.
Yeah, and I'll tell you one last quick story on this topic. Is you guys probably know the streams are an hour on delay, right? So by the time I got knocked out of the Limit Hold'em Championship, it was like 12:30 Vegas time, 2:30 Minnesota time, plus an hour. So like it was like 3:30 by the time she like back home, I would have been knocked out. And I just assumed everybody would have went to bed, and and I went to the final tables at the horseshoe portion of it. There's that back bar, kind of on your way towards Paris. I was just sitting there having a drink, enjoying, kind of like living in the glow, and my phone rings and it's my wife. And I'm like, Marie, like, what are you doing up? She's like, are you kidding me? Like, you've been dreaming about this moment for so long. I wasn't going to miss it. She watched until the bitter end. And then she called me as soon as she saw that I got knocked out. And that just like that little thing just made that night that much more special, that she cared enough that, she doesn't care about poker, but she knew it mattered. It was a special night for me, and that she was there celebrating and supporting me from afar till the very end. So
that's really sweet, man. Well, congratulations on several fronts are in order. It sounds like Joe, you had something next, I think.
Yeah, well, I was going to make a joke, but that was such a sweet moment. I'm just going to
was
right past that and just So I guess the question that I will ask you, regardless, is so between 0 to 12 hours a day, how much time do you spend yearning to return to the chill embrace of Wisconsin and avoid having to live in the hellscape that's Minnesota on a day in, day out basis?
Where do you live?
Well, I had to leave the gentle embrace of Wisconsin years ago. I'm living.
Man, can we cut everyone's microphone right? This is just
this is God, waxing poetic regional U.S. geography edition.
I used to say that, and I used to say the beer was better, but I actually think Minnesota has better beer than Wisconsin now with all the micro.
Shots fired. Shots fired.
I know.
I can't be friends anymore.
All right, Chris, we'll let you wrap up the interview here. What's on your mind?
Well, Louie, one of the things I wanted to ask you, because I think there's a lot of people in our audience on kind of poker strategy. Like, people have dipped their toes into mixed games. We have a mixed game of the month that we're trying to help people sort of learn. But yeah, I mean, you're jumping into you're not only just going and kind of living the dream and going to Vegas to play in these 10K championships, but as you said, you're going to play in a variety of different mixed games. So you're kind of like taking on all these. So what what kind of advice would you have for maybe some recreational players who are sort of like mixed game curious, but maybe are like a little bit scared to like take that plunge? Like for somebody who's at that level, like to try to learn some of those games, what kind of tips would you have for somebody who wants to learn some of the mixed games?
Yeah. Yeah. I've always just enjoyed playing all the games, all these years, so I've always dabbled in mixed games. I would just say start with one. Like it's like anything, it can be overwhelming trying to learn all of these. Like, for example, the tournament that I got 10th in was the deuce to seven triple draw. And I can't tell you how many people text me, like, I don't even understand what the hell is going on trying to read the updates, It's like, well, each one is a little, has its own flavor. There's just, it's instead of trying to be like, I need to learn all the mixed games, like start with one, and Omaha is the easiest one, right? Because it's a flop game. And, I found, one book that I would recommend, and I know books are kind of antiquated, but is Dylan Lindy's Mastering Mixed Games, which has a 30 to 40 page section on like eight or 10 key mixed games that like breaks it down to a really digestible, easy to learn study. So start something there, pick a game, and then text Chris and say, tell me which Poker Go episodes have this game, because there's nobody else that will know. Because I'm pretty sure I texted him at like 2 a.m. It's like, hey, I made day 3 of the triple draw. Find me some episodes on Poker Go that I can watch. Because you have to dig very deep.
You do have to dig. You have to dig to find those kind of episodes. They are available though.
Well, and I'll remind our listeners, we're featuring a different mixed game every month in 2024 as part of our mixed game player of the year race. And so we're going to be doing a forums edition going over the mechanics and the elements of strategy that each mixed game presents. The first one is actually coming out tomorrow because we're running our practiced mixed games on the 3rd and 4th Wednesday evenings every month. And I believe it's No Limit 5-card draw. That will be the first mixed game that comes up in January. So get a taste of them through the forums edition of the podcast all year, and head over to rec.poker/home game if you want to get involved in our home game club throughout the year.
The last thing I'll say about that I wish I would have said, but for me, like it's a process of the mental challenge of saying, okay, I've got 3 months, give or take, to study up on this game. And like, I just, that scratches an itch for me where I like have a very clear objective. I'm going to put in time to, usually it's relearn the game. It's not that I don't know how to play, but it's like, I want to, dust off the cobwebs so that I feel like I'm going into the World Series, ready to pounce.
Yeah. So, I like it. Well, congratulations, man. So, we're going to play a little game with you called Stake, Study, Stack that Chris is going to run here. And then we're going to close the action with our speed round. Just before we do, I want to remind our audience, we've got a very special giveaway tonight. Compliments of Louie Hillman, who's made a contribution. He's made a donation that we're going to be giving away tonight.
You can't have my Poker Go hat. I get to keep that one.
That one is yours. So this is actually just for people who are not premium members at RecPoker. So if you're watching along and you're not a premium member yet at RecPoker, type the words food bank into the chat here, and we'll do a draw for who's going to win our fantastic prize this week, compliments of Louie Hillman. Just type the words food bank into the YouTube chat as we go through the end of the interview here to help support our fight against food insecurity around the world. But first, Chris, you are going to play Stake, Study, Stack with our guest tonight.
All right, Louie, you're up for Stake, Study, or Stack. We all know a game we played when we were younger children, where you had to choose somebody who you wanted to marry, somebody who you wanted to maybe do something not so pleasant to, and somebody who maybe you just have kind of a small little fling with, right? Well, we play our own version called Stake, Study, or Stack. And I'm going to give you 3 names. You have to pick one person you want to stake in a tournament or cash game, one person you want to study with or learn from, and one person you just want to take all their chips.
Okay.
All right. And I'm going to give you, because you had such this amazing final table, I'm going to give you 3 names from your final table. So I have world champion Joe McKeon, WSOP player of the year Josh Arieh, or everybody's favorite poker badass Nick Schulman.
Well, study Schulman. Stake Arieh, stack McKeon.
Love it. Love it. That's the right. I think that's the right answer.
The only reason I hesitate on stacking is because Arieh pulled off a couple bluffs on me at the final table. So I'd like to stack him and McKeon.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Just stack 'em all, right?
You can stack them all given enough time at the table. But good. Thanks for playing along with us for that one. All right, so we're going to close the action now with our speed round. And I just want to remind you, short, honest, quick answers. Get them in there fast. You can say pass. So here we are, closing the action. Dim the lights. We're going to start with an easy one, Louie. What is your favorite poker hand?
Aces.
Is poker a gamble or a skill game?
Skill.
What's your biggest poker pet peeve?
That guy that comes to the table and just is, the way that they act, putting people down. Just like that person that wants to come and show that they're the shit.
Yeah, good. Mine too.
Yeah, just that somebody that I guess I've never seen somebody like belittling somebody, but like acting as if they're better and creating that kind of environment at the table. No patience for that.
You can say douche. It's okay. We all know what we mean when we get Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Never seen it.
Oh, that's two. That's 2 recent guests that have never seen Die Hard. Okay, we might be aging ourselves out of the market here, gang. Is Ace King a drawing hand?
No.
Are you pro chop or no chop?
Pro chop.
What player type are you?
You guys tell me.
Fair enough. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Negative
got him
Ghost Rider.
We got him, guys. He's really thinking about these now.
Negative Ghost Rider.
Should vacations be lazy or busy?
Both.
Yellow light coming up. Slow down or speed up?
Oh, speed up and piss off my kids, especially my 9-year-old daughter. She
doesn't like that. What's one thing that you're afraid of?
That one.
All right, that's okay. We can pass.
Deep.
See, we got some stumpers in here for you. It's not just is a hot dog a sandwich. Who is your poker nemesis?
Oh, there's one Minnesota player that I would put on the stake or the stack list, top of the list.
Well, please.
I'm not going to give him the pleasure of naming him, but I think most people that play in Minnesota can know who I'm talking about.
Okay, I've got a couple.
He's not sitting on the panel, is he?
Yeah. Doesn't sound like it. All right, and then here's the last question. That's the end of the speed round. Louie, tell me, what's one thing that the poker world needs to do differently?
I just think that people need to remember that it's supposed to be fun. Like we all enjoy working on our game. That's the foundation of why a lot of people are here, because they want to get better. But too many people along the way have lost the sight that it's supposed to be fun. And if it ever stops being fun, the recreational players will find something else to do and poker won't exist. So it's supposed to be fun. Make it fun. And I want to win. I take it seriously. But if anybody watched my final table, I was having the time of my life. It's like it's meant to be fun. But hold on. Favorite hand, I got to go back.
Okay.
My new favorite hand is sevens, but a 5 on the river, because there was and I'll spare you guys the whole hand history on it. But the key hand for me at the final table that saved me and propelled me to the 5th place finish was a 5 from the sky on the river in a 3-way pot that just the way that the hand played out, I kept getting drawn in. And it was one of those times where it's like the magic card came and ended up winning a huge pot when we were 9-handed. So it's not pocket 5s, but a 5 on the river while I'm holding pocket 7s.
That's great.
It'll be the most memorable hand that I've played because in that moment, it meant so much to my run.
Yeah, I believe it. Well, I'm sure that's a hand that is kind of crystallized in time for you for a very long time. Well, thanks for sharing with us, and thanks for sharing some fantastic stories and coming on the show. Louie, if folks want to get in touch with you, or if they want to find out about your company, or if they want to, talk hands on social media or something like that, what's the best way for people to reach out to you?
Yeah, my Twitter is I'm a Luigi, IMALOUIGI. There's my little, you can't really see him there, but there's my little Mario, or
nice
Mario, my Luigi.
Nice.
My little Luigi, nice. My Mario Kart Luigi. That's my Twitter. And then my email is just my first name at optimuslifedesigns.com. I'm really passionate about the work we do. As you guys probably all remember in Rounders, what does Worm say? In the game of life, women are the rake. Well, in the game of retirement planning, the government is the rake. We're helping our clients take back control of their retirement income through tax advantage planning. So we help people with guaranteed income, tax advantaged income, long-term care planning, family protection. And if there's anybody listening that is looking for some help, I'd love to have a chance to talk to them. Again, it's Louie, Louie, at Optimus, OPTIMUS, Life Designs, plural.com. And look forward to helping you take back control.
There you go. And I'll make sure that that email address and your Twitter handle are in the show notes for this episode. So folks, if you're listening along at home and you want to get more Louie Hillman in your life, he's only a click away. And it sounds like he's pretty open to talking about these things that he's passionate about. Louie, thank you again. It sounds like you got a lot going on. I appreciate your time on the show here, and a very happy holidays to you and the rest of your family. I hope we get a chance to meet up. Now, we are doing RecPoker Weekend at Running Aces, January 19th and 20th. Circle it, everybody. Louie, I don't know if you're going to be around that weekend, but if you've got some time to spare, I hope you'll let me put a cold drink in your hands on Friday, January 19th or Saturday, January 20th over at Running Aces.
Awesome. I'd love to be able to make it. So appreciate all the work you guys do. Again, I'm a huge fan of RecPoker, and I'm glad you guys finally ran out of qualified guests. So I can make the cut today.
You're the man. Well, we're going to keep rolling. We're going to talk about some home game results, give away some prizes. Feel free to just hit the X or stick around. I suppose it's up to you, but we'll be here for the next while. Thank you again, Louie. And again, have a fantastic holiday.
Yeah.
All right. We're getting some fantastic stuff in the YouTube chat, some guesses as to who Louie's poker nemesis might be. Apparently, that's also the weekend that we're doing our RecPoker Weekend at Running Aces is also Phil's birthday weekend. And Phil, if your wife really loved you, she would send you to Minnesota to spend it with us.
I thought we planned it that weekend because we knew he'd have other plans. Wasn't that?
No, but there's layers to this. We're supposed to this is the layer where we tell him that we really want him there.
Oh yeah.
But,
please come.
Yeah, really fun. Phil, we'd love for you to be there. It's just too bad that of all the weekends we could have chosen randomly to have picked the one where you're not available. That's just, oof. I'm feeling that, and I'm not at all happy about it on the inside. Phil's just one of the people I love hearing about or hearing from in our YouTube chat. It is so much more fun when people come and join the show live. We've got some guesses that Taylor Moss might be Louie's nemesis in the poker world. I don't think it's Taylor. I have a couple guesses who it might be as well. I'm not going to share them if Louie doesn't want to besmirch some names on the podcast, but I've got a couple of guesses there too. Thanks to everyone who's involved in the YouTube chat. It's so much more fun when people come and show. I think we only have one qualified food bank person so far. That is first-time listener Jeremiah Meisen. Jeremiah, let me know if I'm getting that name right. I'm going to announce some home game results and some upcoming events just to give some other folks a chance to type the words food bank into the YouTube chat to give Jeremiah a run for his money, because we have a fantastic prize here. And it's only, usually our prizes are only available to RecPoker Premium members, but this time we got a little loop-to-loop and it's only available for non-premium members. So I'm excited for that. All right. John Somsky would normally be here, but he can't. So he's entrusted me to talk about some recent winners in the home game club. On our mixed game champion series on December 13th, our own Kim Kilroy, Pet Vet 33, who I see in the YouTube chat already. Kim, hope you're having a fantastic week and enjoying your poker travels. Our mixed game champion series player of the year, it's a shocking result, everyone. Taylor Moss, Gopher Boy TJM, has won the Player of the Year race for our mixed game championship with 312 points. Congratulations to Taylor. Our backup was Jasper Jr., Pat Barry, who got second place with 272 points. So congratulations to Taylor. Great showing by Pat. And it's a whole new series starting in January now. We get a chance to enter every month on the second Wednesday of the month. We have our mixed game player of the year race. On the first Wednesday of every month, we have our no limit hold'em player of the year race. So we do one every month. That's 12 chances to get some points towards the end of year championship. And we only count your 10 best results. So even if you miss a couple months, or even if you don't perform well in a couple months, your 10 best are going to be how we determine who goes on to win that. Oh, we've got my own mom, Martha Reed, is back in the YouTube chat. Martha, I'm so glad to see you. I'm glad you're feeling better. It puts a big smile on my face to see my sainted mother here in the YouTube chat on the podcast. It's just drives me crazy, actually, a little bit. But I'm glad that you're here, and your new favorite friend, Phil, is also here. And congratulations to Kim. That was her number 49 win in the home game club, which means she is only one away from joining Dave Evil Roy Slade Westerveld in our lifetime achievement 50+ winners club. So congratulations to her. She's one away. We had our December Tournament of Champions, where Daniel Kennedy struck again to earn a silver pin as another champion. Daniel's also our inaugural Go for the Gold winner and the current holder of the only ever RecPoker Gold pin. So congratulations. On December 11th, in our nightly event, Roadstar 33 won. Congratulations. Joe Coolis, Elvita 11, was the winner on December 12th. One for the thumb, Joe. Congratulations. We all knew it was only a matter of time. Congratulations.
I do have to give Somsky a little bit of credit for mocking me the night before, not being able to have actually a second hand. So it's coming, John. It's coming.
There you go. That's next. I'm excited for that. Stewie 13 won the first international event on December 16th, and Mike Bear won the second. Congratulations to them. On Sunday, in our Learn Pro Poker event, Evil Roy Dave Westerveld won his 64th lifetime tournament at RecPoker. That's fantastic. And Dave, I already saw an email from you, but I'll tell all our other listeners, on Sundays, you can play in our home game for free, but the winner gets a real prize. That's a free month of membership at Learn Pro Poker, one of our fantastic learning partners. So be like Dave, win on Sunday, and send an email to info@rec.poker to claim your prize. And we had our Heads Up event on Saturday, and the winner was none other than longtime member Kathy Chang, mixed game enthusiast herself. And Kathy has won the December quarterly Heads Up Challenge and has won her way into Marek Madness. Following February is the month that we call Marek. And throughout the month of Marek, she will be playing against other fantastic recreational poker players and pros in our Heads Up bracket. And Rob's got something to say about that too.
That's 2 years in a row for Kathy.
Oh, did she win last year as well? Wow.
She was in Rec Madness last year, yes.
There you go. And we do have 3 of these qualifiers. There's one in June, September, and December. And if you go to rec.poker/Marek, you can find some more details about how that's run. We'll have some exciting guests coming in to share the booth and cover the action. And I'm really looking forward to that. Oh, we got some other great feedback in the YouTube chat. Thanks everyone for coming here to YouTube and joining us for this experience live. It's great when you do. And we actually just introduced super chats as a way of donating to Rec Poker directly through YouTube. So if anybody does want to, we'll be sharing a portion of all of our YouTube donation money with a local food bank. With details on that, which food bank might change month to month or quarter to quarter or something like that. But we love getting support from our listeners and from our members. And any donations that we get through the super chats at YouTube, we'll share those directly with a food bank of my choosing at some point in the year. So those are all the winners. Some fantastic results, some great champions putting themselves at the fore. We do run these home games all the time. They're free, but the prizes are real. I hope some folks get to join us for that. We've also got a couple events coming up that I want to remind everybody about. At Running Aces on January from the 11th to the 14th is the Big Stack Avalanche. That's a $500 tournament entry with some preliminary flights for that, I believe. And then, of course, the big news, January 19th and 20th, Rec Poker Weekend at Running Aces. I'll be there with a bunch of our RECing Crew friends. We're going to meet some new members. We're going to give away a bunch of prizes. We're going to do some bomb pots. We're going to have 4 tournaments. We're going to have a cash game meetup. We're going to dip a toe into a bunch of fun things. Maybe we'll do like a trivia contest or something like that. I don't know. We'll probably do a food bank drive having to do with it. If you go to rec.poker/road trip, you can find some more details about that event coming up. But I hope everyone, if you're in the area or if you're a short drive away or even further, I suppose, come on down. It's an hour north of the Twin Cities in Minnesota. And if you want to find out more details about what's going on at Running Aces, you can go to www.runaces.com. And I just want to thank them again for all their support over the years. Well, I don't see anyone else typing food bank into the YouTube chat here. We might be awarding this prize to Jeremiah Meeson in an uncontested fashion. Chris,
it might be everyone else's premium member that in the chat. It looks like a lot of our premium members are in the chat. So
I love that. I love seeing it. So why don't we do? Okay, I think we should just give it to Jeremiah. I think Jeremiah, he followed the protocol. He entered the word food bank into
shows up as a first-time listener and does the right thing. And wins
a fantastic prize.
Let's go.
Okay. All right. Well, Jeremiah, you've won a free year of premium membership at Rec Poker. When we were talking to Louie earlier, he said he wanted to find some ways to help contribute to what we do here. He didn't have as much time to get that involved in the day-to-day of it. But he thought that donating a year's premium membership to someone in the YouTube chat would be a great way to do it. So Jeremiah, you can just email me directly, jim@rec.poker. And I'll set you up with everything you need to enjoy the year of 2024 as a Rec Poker premium member. Talk about the right place at the right time. Way to go, man. So I'm looking forward to getting to know you a little better. Send that email, jim@rec.poker. And thanks again to Louie Hillman, not only for a great interview, but for making that contribution to what we do here. Hats off to him and to all our YouTube viewers and everyone else around here who helps contribute to doing what we do and helping us. Chris, you've got the deep dive recording session coming up next, so we're going to wrap this up in just a second. Joe, Chris, Rob, is there anything else that we should be talking about for folks if they're winding down the year. Rob, is there anything on your mind?
If you're watching this live, join me on Wednesday. I've got the book or session 2 of live. What how to exploit live poker players, something like that.
Yeah, exploiting.
I don't know. I've been reading it all day, and I still don't know the name of it.
This is Alex Fitzgerald's book, Exploiting Live Poker. But now you got me confused.
Yeah,
it is a good
That's
one. I'm
crazy.
gonna go. It is a good one. You've just been kind of getting into it. You're just scratching the surface. The book studies. You've got one more session in December, and then you're picking it up again in January. Exploitative Play in Live Poker by Alexander Assassinato Fitzgerald. That's right. And if you don't have it already, there's a link to buy the book here in our book study group. It helps us out if you use that link. And you can also get a full review of all the sessions we've done in our video archive. If you're cool like Jeremiah Meeson and wants to take us up on our premium membership, you can go back and watch all the videos of all the previous sessions that Rob's done in other sessions with other books and that kind of thing. And of course, it's just the tip of the iceberg for what we get up to over here. The other thing I will point out, I want to remind folks that if you didn't win the show tonight, you can still get a whole month of premium membership for only $1 by using the code NICE at checkout. If you've been a nice boy or girl this year, there is a naughty list, but if you're on the nice list, then you can enter the code NICE at checkout and get your first month of Rec Poker for only $1. It's usually only $15. So, like, you know, why haven't you come and joined us already? I guess is one question I have. The last thing I'll mention is it's going to be Christmas next week, so we're not going to be doing our recording live on Monday night next week. We are pre-recording with Sky Matsuhashi, who's going to do a great episode with us talking about setting goals for 2024. That episode's going to come out on the 29th of December, and there's a sale that Sky's putting on where you can get some cool free stuff from the Poker Forge, which he runs. But the sale is only running from December 29th through January 2nd. So make sure you listen to that podcast as soon as it comes out. It's only going to be up for a few days. We'll send out a newsletter with some information about it as well. But unless you're Phil, don't show up next Monday on Christmas at 7:30 Eastern. Phil, we've got a super secret premium event lined up for you. So tell your family that you've got other plans. But
that's the day you told me to send him a bunch of reminders about the show, right?
Yes, okay. Exactly. Make sure that you click send on that one.
Yeah, okay, we'll do.
All right. Well, then I want to thank Rob Washam, Joe Coolis, and Chris Jones for being such fantastic panelists in our wrecking crew today. I want to thank all our amazing YouTube folks. Great to see Phil and Martha back at it in the YouTube chat. Thank you both for showing up again. It's a treat. Thanks to the Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino. We couldn't do it without your support. Thanks to Louie Hillman for his generosity and time and some great stories. And mostly just thanks to you, the listeners. You're the ones we do this for. So thanks for your support and keep coming back. We'll see you next week on the Rec Poker Podcast.